She. Radio.
Awesome.
Welcome to She Radio, a number 5 podcast for the Everyman. We got breaking news on the show tonight, or, well, by the time this is posted, it's not exactly breaking news, but an acting legend, a true man's man, has passed away. It's under some suspicious circumstances. We're going to talk about Gene Hackman. Liarz, why don't you tell the audience what the heck is going on with Gene Hackman, one of the old-time greats in film?
One of the all-time greats. So many movies that he's been in, countless roles. He won an Oscar. He was found dead in his home recently, and his wife of many years was also found dead, as was their family dog. And apparently, there's not much information being put out right now, but what we do know is that they had been dead for a while, days, possibly weeks, and that there was pills found around his wife, and this is unconfirmed, but the dog was apparently in its kennel, in the closet in the bathroom. So
Also dead.
Also dead. Yes, sorry. Also dead. Yes, the dog is also dead. But it's unconfirmed as to whether or not it was in its kennel. If that's the case, it's simple explanation as to how the dog died. Obviously, it was in his kennel. It probably died of starvation and thirst. But if it wasn't in his kennel, there's also speculation that maybe the dog took whatever pills were scattered around Gene Hackman's wife. It's a very sad story. Gene Hackman was an old man. He was 95 years old, but according to his according to his daughters, he was in fine health. So there was not a risk of him failing that way. So it remains to be seen as to what happens. Now they're going to be running a toxicology report, and they said that could take up to 3 months. So we might not know for a while what exactly happened to Gene Hackman, his wife, and his dog. Randy Quaid has put out an interesting tweet over on X. You can follow him at Randy RR Quaid. And I'll link this into the show too, so you can see it for yourself. But he tweeted out, Gene Hackman and his wife are murder victims. Some scumbags did it and staged it. Stop talking about the films he is in. This is how they get away with murdering famous people. Fake news starts generating film clips. How is it possible? I know at least 6 people who have died like this. Carradine, Hackman, Ledger. So
Did he write at the end of that PS, the shitter squog?
Shitter squog.
Oh.
She's a beaut, Clark. That's what he said when he saw the dead bodies. But
First on the seed, Randy Quaid. Shitter squog. I mean, this one's a really weird one because you're getting a lot of conflicting information. Once again, we don't know anything. We're just seeing what we're reading online through TMZ and other news sources. Well, I just said TMZ is a news source. Yay me. But it was saying that, Gene Hackman, 95, which, number one, he's 95 years old. I saw a recent picture from last year, and, love Gene Hackman, true great man, former Marine, one of the toughest guys ever in movies, But he's 95 years old. So, he's not killing anything. He's way too frail. And to say that, that he was in great health at 95, hey, a strong gust of wind comes by at 95, it can take you out. So, I think that's an exaggeration on the daughter's part. But some of the information we're hearing was that the wife passed away 10 days before Gene Hackman, which, if it was carbon monoxide poisoning, which reports have indicated that I believe the fire department said it wasn't already, but then again, they're trying to retract some of that, saying that it possibly was. But if it was carbon monoxide poisoning, it would have killed them both. One person would have died 10 days previously, and the other one's still kicking fine. Plus, if your wife died 10 days ago in the bathroom, there's a good chance in that week and a half that you probably would have run into your wife and probably called 911. Now, I don't know if this is a thing that maybe Gene Hackman was really ill and the wife just, didn't want to lose him and got really depressed and she killed herself. Other things going on. She offed herself or unalived herself. And, then he gave the pills to the dog so the dog wouldn't be alone and he struggled with it and days trying to figure out what to do. Or if what Randy Quaid was saying is true and somebody went in there and unalived them. We don't know that. Now, there's been a lot of strange Hollywood deaths. You had the Brittany Murphy one where she died of carbon monoxide poisoning, and then like 6 months later, her boyfriend or husband in the same house died of carbon monoxide poisoning or some sort of toxic mold in the house. But I don't know. They were based out of Santa Fe, New Mexico, too. So that's not the same as LA where it's humid. Santa Fe doesn't have much humidity. It seems really, really odd to me. Obviously, the facts are going to come out, but this is a really, really strange thing. And Gene Hackman's kind of a guy that, minded his own business. You never saw him in commercials. You never really saw him out there taking any political stance either way. He just, stayed to himself. That's kind of my take so far on it. Obviously, we're going to wait for more information, but it doesn't seem to add up.
There's quite a few parallels between, initially, right? There's a case in Canada, is Barry and Honey Sherman is their names. He was head of a pharmaceutical company, and he and his wife were multimillionaires in Toronto, and they had a house there, massive mansion, and Honey and Barry Sherman were found dead in their house, and they've done documentaries on it. They have there's been investigative reports done on it, and no cause of death. Well, nobody has been charged with a murder, but they think that this is the murders were suspicious. And there's a lot of parallels between this case and so far what we know in the Gene Hackman case. I mean, this could all change tomorrow and it could be settled, right? We don't know. But at this point in time, there's not much known. There's a lot of speculation going on, and it's unfortunate that this has happened. He had two daughters. I think we should also, it's out of respect. His wife's name was Betty Arakawa, so instead of just referring to her as his wife, she had a name, and it was Betsy Arakawa. So he also had two daughters, and oddly enough, they were seen the very next day together. Believe having breakfast together, and they were laughing. So everybody grieves differently. I don't know how much we should look into that or how much we should take away from that, but it's always something to look at, and who knows if it will lead to anything. Hopefully it doesn't. And my condolences to everybody involved with this and the families, and rest in peace, Gene and Betsy. That's what I got to say to it.
Randy Quaid also mentioning the fact that, these other celebrities, I think David Carradine was a pretty open and shut case of what happened there with him and a belt in a closet and what occurred. And even the Heath Ledger thing was pretty open and shut of what actually occurred. There didn't be a lot of mystery there of what could have happened. I know at this time people are looking for information, and when the authorities don't give you information, people are going to speculate. But you got to use some common sense. Now, if it turns out that they found Gene Hackman's body, like they're saying, and he was obviously passed away, but the wife was mummified, well, that means something happened that wasn't natural. That means something happened that one or two people made decisions, and bad things happen. And it'd be really horrible if this is what happened, because it would tarnish such a great filmography, such a great acting career, and some of these movies who I just enjoy so much. Wasted. I know you're live on location. Have you been able to quiet down the noise? And do you have thoughts on this?
Yeah, just it was the thing that I saw was saying that the gas leak is that they'd kind of ruled out that it was a gas leak, and then so that's why they looked into it further. But then the family have seemed to think that it's probably is a gas leak, which is what I thought straight away because of the three. Everybody was dead, but then with these pills and stuff coming out, that opens up a lot of other options. I just thought it was sad that I saw in the paper there was a picture of Gene Hackman and Betsy with their two daughters who are looking very young and hot and happy, but then when you see them on TMZ now, they look like truckers. So it was sad to see them.
Well, age and grief comes and gets us all, my friend. Now, you were mentioning a gas leak. By that, you're not referring to carbon dioxide. You're referring to like a natural gas leak, like propane?
Yeah, something like that. That's just what when I saw it the first time, just the news, and it said all three dead at the same time. That seemed strange. I could see like Gene Hackman, dying because he's like he's 95, but Betsy's 64, so that's sad, really. Like you wouldn't expect
63, but that's
63 or 64, yeah. So.
But it's a gas leak, Wasted. If it's a natural gas leak, in the United States, they put odor in the old gas. So like if you leave the propane on, you'll smell it. So they would have known immediately entering. Oh, we got a gas leak here. If it was a gas leak and it goes by for upwards of 2 weeks or at least a week and a half, guess what? Eventually, gas leak's going to get into something where something like something electronic is going to click, like a thermostat or anything, and a little spark will just set that whole thing off, and the house will explode. So I think you can eliminate that. Carbon monoxide. They should be able to know, like immediately at the autopsy, like, hey, it's a carbon monoxide problem. Or I don't know if the fire department went in there or the EMTs, they have these things called carbon monoxide detectors that, most houses now have fire alarms and carbon monoxide detectors together built in. Those things would start beeping, and I'm pretty sure they could figure that out relatively quickly. The fact that they're saying that this autopsy can take up to 3 months says to me that there's a lot more investigating going on to what occurred.
Behind the scenes, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, he could have just died of old age and then she took the pills. But didn't they say that he died like 10 days before?
No, you're having it backwards. She died 10 days before and she was mummified.
I thought they discovered the bodies 10 days later. Like they discovered the bodies yesterday, and then they were saying the 17th of February is when something happened.
They discovered that her body was mummified.
Oh, yeah.
So he was alive a good couple days, if not more, than her. Which at 95 years old, I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't know many 95-year-old people that are very cognitively with it, to be able to take care of their everyday living activities. So, I don't know. A lot of it just doesn't make sense. Liarz, do you have anything you want to add to this?
I just came across this right now from TMZ, actually, and the Santa Fe the Santa Fe detective who had a search warrant. The deaths of the two deceased individuals to be suspicious enough in nature to require a thorough search and investigation because the reporting party found the front door of the resident unsecured and opened.
Wow, that changes a lot now, doesn't it?
That does change a lot, yeah. I didn't see this up until right now. So, and apparently deputies observed a healthy dog running loose on the property and another healthy dog near the deceased female, and a deceased dog laying 10 to 15 feet from the deceased female in a closet of the bathroom. So
this is getting weirder and weirder.
It does get weirder and weirder because you have conflicting reports, right? So this was an early report from TMZ, published on the 27th, and ones we were reading before were published yesterday, right? So they're just doing their job and updating it as they get information too, right? So, but there's the old saying in journalism, don't be the first, be right? So,
I thought if it bleeds, it leads.
yeah, exactly. But like I said before, my condolences to everybody involved and all the family members of Gene and his wife Betsy. So my condolences and rest in peace, both of you.
Yeah, definitely on that. Our condolences are going out to them. It's losing family members is rough. We're not trying to make light of it in any means. We're just reporting on it to a degree where a bunch of idiots guys just sitting around, the bar and talking and shooting the shit. But since we're shooting the shit and around the bar, let's celebrate Gene Hackman the way we should. And hopefully he didn't do anything wrong, so we can still cherish these later on. But the man has the filmography just to beat the band. I mean, not only is he arguably the greatest villain in all of the superhero movies of all time,
Yep.
We all agree on that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. The man was also, he made great sports movies. I mean, I don't care what any of you guys say. I love The Replacements with him and Keanu Reeves, where he's the old Coach Jimmy McGinty. I love that movie. And, he also made a little basketball movie in the 80s called Hoosiers.
Yep.
One of my dad's all-time favorites, and if I don't mention this, I swear to God, my elderly father will probably beat me to death, and you guys will be reporting on that death, is The French Connection, where I believe he actually won the award for Jimmy Popeye Doyle.
Yes, he won Best Supporting Actor, did he not? I think he did.
Yes, sir. And then he starred in the original Poseidon Adventure, which is great, where that's got the big old fat lady who's like a former Olympic swimmer, and she's the only one that can hold her breath. The original Poseidon Adventure, that rules. He was in The Conversation, which is one of, if you love film, this is supposed to be like, hey, watch this movie. It has the great John Cazale in it. And
it was
he made, but The Conversation is just superb.
It's one of the it's one of the 5 movies I have on DVD.
Yeah,
it's Francis Ford Coppola.
Yeah, Francis Ford Coppola directed it. There's Harrison Ford is in it. Terry Garr is in it. I think Robert Duvall is the director, like the character of the director. He didn't direct the movie, but the character of the director. And of course, Gene Hackman's in it. It's a phenomenal movie.
It's a wiretapping, yeah. Gene Hackman's wiretapping the director.
That's right.
Yeah.
And he hears a recording of what's there. If he finds out, he's going to kill us. So Gene Hackman is paranoid, and he starts investigating this quote that he overheard on this wiretap recording, and there's a huge twist at the end. I'm not going to ruin it for anybody, but check out The Conversation. Great movie. Probably one of Gene Hackman's finest movies. He's excellent in it.
Wait, is there anything more you want on The Conversation?
I remember in is it XXX with Vin Diesel? Vin Diesel is squaring off with this bad guy, and he says Gene Hackman was a legitimate tough guy, and the bad guy went like, what? And he said 500 fights.
That's right.
What? 500 fights? You need to have 500 street fights before you become a legitimate tough guy. And then he says, "Oh, what?" And he says, one of the first things you learn in these 500 fights is this." And then he kicks him in the balls.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a good way to leave on that note on for that. But also, people don't really understand that Gene Hackman also had great comedic chops. He was in Young Frankenstein as Harold the Blind.
Yes, he was. Yeah.
All right. You know what else he was in?
What's that?
The Birdcage as Senator Kevin Neely. And he was also in Get Shorty as Harry Zim.
That's right.
And he was in the Royal Tenenbaums, which I was never a big Royal Tenenbaums fan. It was too aristocratic for me, but I know a lot of people really enjoy that.
Yeah.
But we're going to get to the good stuff right now. The stuff that's all right, this guy's just a bad dude, all right? So we already talked French Connection, which can show you, hey, this man's not to be trifled with. But now we're going to start talking movies that really tell you. He was in A Bridge Too Far, all right? Good war movie. He was also in, get that, boys, Bat 21. Which, if you don't like Bat 21, fuck you. Him and Danny Glover. He's a downed pilot in Vietnam, and Danny Glover's Bat 21, looking over there, looking for Bird Dog. Or no, he's Bat 21 calling for Bird Dog, who's Danny Glover. It's just fantastic. He's also in Mississippi Burning, which Liarz, go ahead.
No, just great movie. Mississippi Burning, great movie. Great movie. It's been a long time since I've seen it, and you know, when you said it, it just triggered that memory in my head of watching this very powerful movie, right?
What about the scene in the barbershop? You don't remember that?
Refresh my memory. No, I don't.
Okay, so there's this guy in town, one of these racist bastards, and he's beating on his wife. Gene Hackman just comes in and just beats the shit out of this guy at the barber shop. Because he likes to go home. This drunk racist guy likes to go home and be on his wife. Gene Hackman just walks in and just fucking knocks this guy around silly.
Beautiful.
Okay. He was also in another great movie called Uncommon Valor.
Oh, yes. Man, you're triggering some deep-rooted memories here for me. These are all movies that I haven't seen in forever, and I completely forgot about. But Uncommon Valor, great war movie.
Okay. Put on Uncommon Valor. It's got Tex Covenant. You know who else it has in there?
Who?
Griff from Married with Children.
Really?
Yeah. He's one of the soldiers. Griff is one of the guys in Uncommon Valor. Yeah. It's also got, do you know who else is in that movie? Swayze.
Who's that?
Patrick Swayze is in Uncommon Valor. He's the one who trains him up.
That's right. Yeah.
You're welcome, buddy. All right.
Yeah.
We're talking some real ass kicking movies here. He's Sheriff Little Bill Daggett in The Unforgiven.
Yes, he is. Yep.
All right. He was in the great Tom Cruise movie The Firm.
Yeah,
Firm.
that's the one I saw in the theater. Yeah. The Firm with Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is like a lawyer or something, like a naive lawyer in the company.
Yes.
And Gene Hackman is the cynical. He kind of frames him.
Lawyer.
Yeah, he sort of frames him. He sort of gets him like to do something on the beach with a girl so he can like control him or something.
Oh, it's been a while since I've seen that.
Yeah.
Gene Hackman in that movie, like the Firm is covering up a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. He's in Geronimo. He's in the Wired Earp movie, which is not as good as Tombstone. But you know he plays another great Western. He's in The Quick and the Dead.
Yes, with Sharon Stone.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And now we're going to come down to we're going to talk to one which is arguably the sequel to the conversation. And most people don't realize it, but I think you can honestly say it is. Enemy of the State with him and Will Smith. Same character, boys. Same character.
He's the wiretapping guy.
Yeah.
Does it have jazz in the soundtrack? Is that Will Smith?
Yes.
Enemy of the State. I'm really like, I know the name of the movie, and I have no idea what happened.
I think we're still kicking it with this man right now. I mean, we're not even close to even. I'm gonna say my favorite, probably my favorite one of his movies, to the very last I mentioned. Next, we got Absolute Power, where he's the president with Clint Eastwood, tracking him down because he did a bad thing at the White House. All right, that one's a real good one. The next one's Behind Enemy Lines. I love Behind.
I remember the name of this movie. What's it about?
Okay, so Owen Wilson. This is actually based on a true story. Owen Wilson's a Navy pilot who crashes in Kosovo, Serbia when the war's going on. And Gene Hackman plays I believe he's the captain of the aircraft carrier. And they go rescue this pilot. There's so much bureaucratic bullshit, we ain't doing it. And Gene Hackman at the end just says, fuck it, no, we're going to go in and get our guy. And it just has one of the coolest action scenes at the end when they're going to go rescue Owen Wilson. And it's pretty fucking great.
I thought he was really good in Heist. Gene Hackman was doing one of those heist movies. Heist in 2001. He's driving the truck. One last job before you retire. It's that one of those kind of movies, and he's really good.
I still have my favorite, which if you guys disagree with this, you guys are all brat bastards and you can all fuck yourselves. Crimson Tide, him and Denzel. The XO's taking over the boat. You don't remember Crimson Tide?
I do.
It's spectacular.
I got some Gene Hackman movies to catch up on. I remember a lot of these titles, but I don't remember the actual movies themselves. So I got some movies to catch up on. Definitely.
Yeah,
and I did not know that Enemy of the State was, a quote unquote sequel to The Conversation. If that's the case, I'll definitely watch it again with keeping that in mind.
It's one of those movies that's not an intended sequel to it, but like everything matches up perfectly for it to be a sequel to it. Right. There's another movie, like this is off topic from Gene Hackman, and maybe I'll save it for another time or make it into the whole thing. But you do realize, like, if you ever watch the movie The Rock, Sean Connery and Nicolas Cage, that's actually supposed to be the goodbye to Sean Connery's James Bond, right?
Right. I've heard that before. We could talk about that at another show for sure, because I've heard that too before.
But if you look at, if you just look over at Gene Hackman's movies, I mean, they're just all fantastic. There's so many that we didn't even name in here, but he was the ultimate guy's guy, the ultimate, we call ourselves the Unrefined Podcast for the Everyman. Dude, Gene Hackman was the Everyman. I mean, seriously, you really want to say something about being the Everyman. That was Gene Hackman. Dude, at 16 years old, he lied to go join the United States Marine Corps. I mean, the dude was legit a badass.
Beautiful.
Wait, so are there any movies or anything that we didn't touch on Gene Hackman that you wanted to talk about?
Runaway Jury is one that I remember watching. Seems like one of his last one. It's John Grisham book. So, yeah.
It's got, what's his face?
Cusack? Is it Cusack?
Yeah, it's got John Cusack, but I thought it had the dude from Rain Man in it too.
Dustin Hoffman and Rachel Weisz. It's like one of those courtroom dramas.
But it's really smart.
Yeah. Rigging the Juries. It's a John Grisham novel, and then it's a pretty good, interesting movie. It's not like an action movie, like blockbuster movie. But if you can't be bothered to read the book, it's quite good.
You know what's weird? His final movie is Welcome to Mooseport, a movie with him and Ray Romano. Just like one of these things is not like the others.
Dude, that's what did it in for him. He was like, "Fuck this. This is the roles I'm getting. Roles with Ray Romano. I'm out of here."
I can't believe that he's in the Mexican. He's in the Mexican with Gandolfini, Brad Pitt, Julia Roberts. What? I don't even remember him being in that movie. Is he like the?
I think it's a quick role in there. One thing I think we're glossing over so much, and I know I brought it up briefly, but man, him as Lex Luthor. I mean, was there a better shitbag villain than him?
He was amazing.
I think he's the definitive Lex Luthor. There will never be a better Lex Luthor than Gene Hackman. Like, you know how Heath Ledger kind of like screwed everyone over on the Joker? Even though you still got your Jack Nicholson fans of the Joker.
Yeah.
Gene Hackman will always be Lex Luthor. Like, I hate to say this, and I don't hate to say this because I think Christopher Reeve is a good person. Christopher Reeve will always be Superman. You're just not going to, sometimes the casting's that perfect that you're just not going to do it better. And there's so many movies that you couldn't imagine anyone else but Gene Hackman playing those roles.
Right. Yeah.
But he always seemed to me like, because I was a kid watching, my dad loves Gene Hackman. So my dad would always have Gene Hackman movies on. I'd watch them with my dad. He always felt like, he always was an older guy in the movies. He never felt like a young man. But I always felt like, when you hear stories like old man stuff, he's got old man strength.
Yeah.
That's what I always thought with Gene Hackman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, even in Heist, he still looks like he's been working out or something. He doesn't look old.
He was a guy that he wasn't a loud actor. Like at times he'd raise his voice, but he could just demand the scene. He could demand your attention. And there's not many actors that can do that.
No.
Yeah, the Step Brothers look like his kids or something.
Yeah, could be. Yeah.
Liarz, I don't think we're going to top that. Did you guys, Waste, you got anything else?
He was in Bonnie and Clyde in '67, so he's been going a long time.
There you go.
Liarz, take us out, brother.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Look for us on YouTube. That's where the main channel is. Look for us on Spotify and Rumble and wherever else you get your podcasts. And if you like what you're seeing, please hit like and subscribe. And if you want, leave a comment. We'll get back to you. And on that note.
She stops it for